Welcome to the Disability News Report. I'm your host, Jennifer Price. Do you hear that?
Oh my God, baby, baby,
That is the beautiful voice of Lachi, a musical artist who is also visually impaired. Her life experiences have taught her to embrace being a woman who is also Black and disabled. So how has she learned to use all of these attributes as sources of strength and empowerment for younger artists? That's exactly what I will be talking about with her today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and watch to the end of the episode to hear an exclusive of her latest single, Duality. Coming up next. So, welcome to the show, Lachi. It's so great to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really honored to be here.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to talk to you about your music. Your vocals are absolutely beautiful. I've heard them just on their own. I've heard them with arrangements that you've done with other people such as Snoop Dogg. So I'm very excited to interview you and just to learn more about your music. And listening to some of the songs, you have a different sort of style for some of them. I mean, there is some consistency, but I have noticed different arrangements with like jazz or electronic dance and especially pop for sure. They're all fun songs, whether you're dancing. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, how do you create your music? Do you sort of look for any inspiration somewhere, or how does that creativity get started?
Yeah, so I am all about taking my experiences and figuring out a way to express them in a way that's like accessible to people other than myself.
Sure.
Because I have all these ideas in my head and all of these things that happen to me in my life. And I know that there's no way that it has only happened to me, myself. So I do what I can to express it through music. And living here in New York, there's just so much inspiration. This is a tough city, but the toughness is beautiful. And there's nowhere you can turn where there's no inspiration. But then my life in general, just as a, Black female with a disability, I've had a tough life that's also can be considered very beautiful due to the struggle. And so what I do is I take those experiences and I put them in my music. And at first I started writing music just for myself. But then when I started realizing everybody was like, you know what, I go through that too, just in a different way. I started realizing, okay, well, I can just write music. I don't have to try to appeal to anyone. I can just write music for myself and my experiences, and people will just naturally relate. And so that's pretty much a general nutshell of where I am when I write.
Well, so I'm glad that you said that, because it really sort of dovetails into another thought that I had, which was your song Years. I mean, you do like to focus on songs about empowerment, but your song Years also, from the lyrics to the music video associated with that, really, quite frankly, I think show you empowering just your own self and your own sexual awareness and the beauty behind that. So just kind of talking and thinking about the fact that you write music and you just love music and you wanted to focus on music that was familiar to everyone, regardless of abilities that you have. Did I sort of understand and interpret the song correctly, that was you empowering yourself just as a woman,
Yes. I mean, one of the things, and I mean, I tote the disability horn all the time. So I definitely talk about my disability all the time. And one of the problems in the outside world's focus on disability is that it's very undersexualized. A lot of my very, very, very attractive friends with disabilities have no problem getting, girls or getting guys or and are very confident in their sexuality. And I like to show that in myself. Like, I'm very confident about my womanhood, about my sexuality. And just because I am a powerful Black woman with a disability, it doesn't mean that I am not a sexual creature, a sexual being, someone that falls in love, someone that falls out of love. And so I like to embrace those concepts as well.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a great point that you make because it is an issue, just the sort of perception that sometimes people have
Yes.
about people with disabilities. I had that
Hmm.
conversation once with a professor who did some research into different issues, and we were talking about that concept that there's sort of sometimes their perception
Yes.
of people with disabilities being almost asexual, like which is
Yes.
ridiculous. So I was really glad
Exactly.
the music video, hear the lyrics. I mean, it's just really such a beautiful song. Um,
Thank you so much.
yeah. So just to go with your background, also, you are a Nigerian immigrant. You have spoken of, and I've read that you say that you have lived in many places, from I think the blackest part of Philly to the whitest part of New York, and all the way down to being the Southern Belle, and from living in North Carolina, which is where I'm originally from,
Yes.
actually. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
North
So
Cackalack.
yes,
North Cackalack.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes. So I am
Right.
wondering, how did all of those experiences shape you as a person?
My parents came to the US in the late 70s, early 80s type of situation. So I was actually born in the US. My mother got her citizenship during the big Reagan immunity, during the big Reagan, what is it called? Amnesty, sorry.
Sure.
And and yes, my parents moved around a lot, mainly for different work situations. But it's not that it was tough at the time because I was just a kid and I was just um, learning new things, meeting new people. I didn't know the concept of, people that sit there and have friends from when they were like 4 and have the same friends now. I've known this guy since, he was a baby. I don't have that experience. But I do have the experience of I am very versatile and able to learn things very quickly and able to adapt to new situations very quickly. And as a person who is legally blind, visually impaired, um, that has actually helped me a lot. Because a lot of the times when I walk into a new room, I have to quickly learn the room because I'm just 100% unfamiliar. I can't just walk into a room, figure out where the chair is, sit down, and have fun. Um, about 60% of me getting around somewhere is just intuition and just figuring things out and adaptability. And I think that's kind of a microcosm of the fact that I moved around so much when I was a kid and having to just learn new situations.
Mhm.
Um, and then people tell me, like, you don't have an accent, or I can't tell where you're from, you don't sound like a New Yorker. um, Mainly because I've lived everywhere, and it's funny because I believe, apart from New York, I spent most time in the South.
Oh,
I do not have a Southern accent whatsoever. I also don't have an African accent, and I don't have a Philly accent. So I believe it's just made me very versatile and able to adapt to a lot of different situations and hang with a lot of different people and accept a lot of different things.
so can we talk about that? Your way of I read about a way. I don't know if it's the same way that you're talking about, of sort of walking into a room, because you said that like you stated, you're blind in one eye, totally blind in one eye, partially blind in
Yes.
another eye. So when you walk in a room, at least for like a gala or whatever, that's has low lighting or dimly lit, you sort of use
Yeah.
a friend to approach someone. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So there are different situations that will occur. Back when I was not who I am now, I would just try to crawl into a corner. I would not do anything because I was just so afraid of embarrassing myself because I just couldn't see anyone. And I was also afraid that people would notice me and wave or something, and then I wouldn't wave back, and then they would be upset with me, or something like that. Nowadays, in the recent past, several years, once I got my kick in the butt confidence, I sort of walk into a room and I will just tell anyone and everyone who's willing to listen to me that I cannot see. I usually try to keep it very light and very jocular. Things like, "Hi, how are you? I'm blind, but I still think you're totally hot." Um, and things things like that. So that when I sit there and reintroduce myself to people, it's totally fine. It's already, the ice has been broken. Um, and, I'll be in a lot of situations, many times, where I'll usher someone else into a networking situation. So someone who's sort of new to the game, or someone who is trying to get their foot in the door, and I'm the one ushering them around an event. And I'll do things like introduce them to the wrong person, or just do like really weird gaffes. But it doesn't matter, because I have no shame in sort of commanding the fact that I have a disability. And for the most part, if I'm already at an event, most people already know, like, oh, there goes Lachi. There goes Lachi introducing herself to me again. But I have no problem anymore. And I use it as almost a weapon, in a sense, like as a shield. I use my confidence, or I use my introduction of, hi, I'm blind, as my own shield to keep myself from being embarrassed, because now I've let that guard down for everyone, and everyone's just, here to have a good time and not feel weird.
Sure, sure. Yeah, no, I totally understand that. I mean, I think all of us in some regards have our own little defensive mechanisms, so to speak, and
Right?
use whatever we have in order to make ourselves feel comfortable, especially when you do walk in the room and it can be sort of that awkward
Yes.
moment. I mean, even if for those of us that can see, we still have awkward moments where it's like, where do I go? The bar. Let me get a
Right.
drink and relax a little bit, you know?
Right.
So
Yes. Yes. It's like, let me be a wallflower. Let me be a bar hound. Let me, and anything to keep me from having to talk to other human beings.
right, right, right. Yes, yes, yeah. I
Yeah.
totally
So,
understand that. Um, so I read that before you got started full time into your singing career, you were working just sort of a job like everyone else, and a
yes.
coworker said, as opposed to many of us hearing, "Yeah, don't quit your day job," a coworker told you to quit your day job because your voice was so
Yes.
beautiful, and it took some time, but you ultimately did just that. So I'm wondering, what was the
Yes.
transformation, or did anything in particular happen, or, internally that made you say, you know what, now is the time, I'm going to take that plunge and quit my day job and focus on
Yeah.
my singing?
So it's interesting, because it was a bit of a duality, right? So, I mean, when I was growing up, there was no role models or anything to kind of look up to say, I want to be that. Um, and so I always did get sort of a little bit of discouragement of, what, always stay on the safe and narrow. I got that from my parents. I got that from my teachers, to just have a backup plan.
Sure.
And so that's one of the reasons. I mean, I've always wanted to do music and entertainment, but because it was just like a path that was unforeseeable for myself and for the people around me, I just, when I got the job, I did what I had to do. And even at work, people were like, okay. But I would sing all the time at work, at my desk. I would sing, and I worked for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So they would always have assemblies, or we'd get together and do park events and things like that, things for the workers to get together and feel good. And I would sing the national anthem,
Oh.
and people would come and just not understand why I'm behind a desk. I would, and then I started, as I was working, I was putting on shows and at night putting on shows and things like that. And some of my coworkers would come to my gigs and go, that is not the same person.
Oh.
So eventually I ended up hooking up with a guitarist friend of mine who I met through a blind camp, actually. So he was also visually impaired, and he was actually totally blind. And the two of us went down to South by Southwest to just be like, we're just going to play music here during this festival, and hopefully somebody will find us. And I wrote to a bunch of labels, and nobody responded. But actually, one of the reps who got one of my emails showed up to one of our little like gigs at some random bar, and was like, I really like you. Here's my card. I'm also from New York, because, South by Southwest is in Texas. He's like, I'm also from New York. Come, let's talk. And a year later, I was signed to a deal.
Wow.
So I was like, it was just a matter of getting up and actually getting out and doing it, and then seeing that the industry actually wanted this. That made me decide, you know what? Okay, all right. Well, I guess, I mean, it was fine at my desk job. It's not like they didn't want me, but this just made so much more sense, and there was no way I could deny that.
Well, that's really awesome. That's really awesome. Um, just kind of, we're in an election season now, and I know I read that the song "What I Want That Body" was inspired by your the 2018 elections, in a sense, because you were just so impressed by all the women who had been
Yes.
elected, yeah, into office. And so, and that sort of, woman empowerment inspired that song. So I'm wondering, what
Yes.
is it that you want as an artist currently? What are you looking for?
You know, one of the things that make me smile on the inside, one of the things that make my heart smile is Joe Biden's pick of Kamala Harris,
Yeah.
mainly because I'm a Black woman.
Right.
So we can't deny the figurehead effect of the fact that once Obama was president, people started to go, wow, Black humans are humans. And, listen, Black women have always gotten sort of the short end of the stick. We stick our hand out to be helped and we say, help us. And instead of helping us, they just kind of give us a high five and say, you go, girl.
Sure.
Um,
Right.
so I feel like just the Kamala Harris being intelligent, being smart, being just a powerful woman. And she's relatively young and she's just ambitious. She embodies what a lot of Black women are.
Hmm.
And I love the fact that America gets to see that in power and gets to see that work. And it really touches on me because I relate a lot to her and her ambition and her plight. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, I recently sat down back in August. I sat down with through the Recording Academy's district advocacy. I ended up sitting down with Senator Schumer and Rep Maloney's office.
Oh, wow.
And I talked about, listen, hey, not only do artists need help and, need funding and stuff like that, but we need to recognize that, artists aren't all just one big monolith of musicians. There are different types. There are artists that are Black and there are artists that are female.
Hmm.
And as a Black female artist, I need more help. We as Black female artists do actually need more help than the other sort of categories do. And I was very honored to be able to get to say that to leadership.
Hmm.
And I'm just really excited. I don't know. I'm just like, I can't stop smiling that it's finally our time to shine here as Black women in front of leadership and as leadership.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, certainly, I have both a daughter and a son, and so I think it's amazing that I can now look at my son and say, you know what, yeah, you too can be the president because it's been done
Yes.
before, and he's broken that ceiling, and so it's no longer. I can
Yes.
distinctly remember as a kid, having
Mhm.
conversations with other friends. It's like, well, you can be anything, but you can't be the president. No, that's not happening.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right?
so to see that happening was just amazing, and now of her nomination for vice president, I can look at my daughter and say
Yeah.
the same thing. The ceiling is
Yep.
certainly breaking with each tap and punch that we give it.
Mhm.
It is breaking for sure, slowly but surely. So yeah, I
The
totally.
ceiling is breaking, yeah, and also are the stereotypes and the prejudices, or they're being laid out to bear, and people are saying, "Wait a minute, I don't want to think that. I don't want to associate my thoughts with that."
Right.
And so I'm really excited that like some of these negative stereotypes are just being put right out there, and people are going, "That is bad."
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. And they're no longer
So
embarrassed to call it out and say that it's bad. I mean,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So tell me about your a cappella arrangement.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been arranging a cappella since I was in college. And so I founded a cappella groups, and a cappella arranging has just always been my jam. And I founded an a cappella group here in New York as well, actually, called Mezzo.
Nice.
And I always felt that the a cappella scene doesn't have enough like hip hop and urban and sort of, rap in the scene. So I'm really excited that I've been putting that out there. And I recently arranged a song called Genius, which is actually by LSD, which is like Labyrinth, Sia, and Diplo. and Mezzo went out and they did my arrangement.
Nice.
And so you guys should totally check it out. It's really, really great. There are two versions. There's one version where I'm running around rapping like, what's his name? Lil Wayne. So I'm Lil Wayne
Oh,
in a song, which is great.
nice.
But people should totally check it out. I feel like a cappella arrangements of songs are very educational almost. It makes you appreciate music a lot more because you're allowed to kind of see what the different movements are
Yeah.
and not be kind of blown away by big drums and big guitars.
Right.
So I'm very excited about that song right now. So
Yeah, yeah, it'll definitely give you a chance to really, or for people to listen and really focus and hone in on your vocals for sure. I mean, that's the beauty of it all. Yeah.
that is the beauty of it. I mean, and it's funny because I had earlier this year, I had put out an a cappella arrangement of Money by Cardi B.
Oh,
And I rapped it. I did all of the vocal parts myself, and I actually got an Independent Music Awards nomination from that.
wow.
Wink, wink,
Nice.
selfless, shameless plug for myself. But it was funny because people came to me and they were like, I never actually knew the lyrics to that song until you sang it a cappella. So I was like, okay, well, you're welcome, Cardi.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, yes, yeah. Yeah, I'm very excited about Genius. Very excited. It's actually a mashup with Beethoven's is it his ninth? It's Fifth Symphony. Sorry, Beethoven's ninth. Come on, Lachi. Beethoven's Fifth Symphony mashed up with Genius. So
Wow.
check it out. Let me know. Let me know when you can pinpoint the Beethoven parts.
Yeah, well, that sounds awesome for sure. Yeah, definitely everyone check that out. And any other music I know, I checked out on Spotify for sure. Lachi, this conversation was so much fun. I'm so glad that I was able to get some time with you and you could fit me into your schedule.
Yes.
Yes.
No, thank you so much. This has been really, really good and very like warm and welcoming and relaxing and just
Yeah.
nice and comfortable. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Check out her songs. Lachi, thanks.
Your brand of laid back chaos got me torn like good and evil. It's like you break my walls, yet break my fall. I'm trying.